Hello, hello. I hope you can hear me well, my dear colleagues, my dear friends. Yes, so last time um, I've asked you to put your city or country, and today let's talk a little bit about the weather. So can you please put temperature in your location? Let's say in my location, it's cloudy and -5. What about you? So tell me your temperature and your country. Let's see. Okay, I can see +18 in Tashkent. Can everybody see that? Cloudy and +10. Perfect. Sunny in Yerevan. Amazing, guys. Bishkek, +14. Yes, so I love that. Wonderful weather in Uzbekistan and okay, good. I mean, in Uzbekistan, in other cities, except for Tashkent, what is the weather like today? Samarkand +13, I can see. Right, right. Oh my gosh, snow is tomorrow. I mean, that's for Bishkek. It's going to snow. Okay, +24 in Tashkent. Okay, I think that's great. I think, I mean, everybody remembered frosts in Uzbekistan back in January, right? And in February. Okay. In Tashkent, okay, will be snowing. Great. Oh, yes. North of Kazakhstan, -10. You see, but very sunny. Great, great. Nice extremes. Nice, really, really. Okay. Hello, hello. Yes, so we are all expecting snow in Central Asia for tomorrow. Yes. But we do hope, Anna and me, that will be lots of shine today, sunshine today during our webinar. Okay, good. So Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. So welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Yes. For those who are joining, we are talking about the weather today. Yes, and I've asked attendees to put in the chat some temperatures and what is the weather like. Okay, nice to see you all. Yes, +10 Yerevan and sunny, that's very good. Cloudy, yes. Marianne, where is cloudy? Can you tell us? Yeah, Moscow, that's, as I said, that's cloudy, -6, and we're expecting some freezing rain. Yes, hello from Almaty. South Africa, can you see that? 39, +39 in South Africa. Oh, great, great. Absolutely fantastic. Yes, yes. I've been to Uzbekistan. Thank you, Xenia. I've been to Uzbekistan, and that was back in December last year. Yes. Hello from Indonesia. Okay, what is the weather like there in Indonesia? Okay, great, great, great. Okay, let's wait just one more minute, and we are ready to start, I think. Okay. Anna, can you hear us okay? Can you join us?
Hello, Yelena. Good to see you.
Yes, the same, the same. Are you ready to start?
Sure.
Okay, so just some preliminary things as usual. Okay, my dear friends, my dear colleagues, Welcome to our program, online TKT preparation course that was specially designed for teachers who are preparing for TKT, modules 1, 2, and 3 in Armenia and Central Asia countries. So I'm Yelena from Cambridge University Press and Assessment, and I will be guiding you through our webinar today. So as always, let's start today with some housekeeping. Again, please use Chrome. If you are watching us using your mobile phone, please use the webinar app, which is available for both iOS and Android devices. Again, please don't run any other applications on your laptops or computers because it can slow down your connection. So if you can't hear me or Anna, or you can't see any slides, please do two things. The first one would be refresh the webinar page. The second one would be to reconnect your internet network. Okay, so throughout the whole presentation, you will have the opportunity to speak with other attendees through the chat box located on your screen. Please be active and answer all Anna's questions. Give your feedback to Anna's comments, questions, etc. However, if you want to submit a question during the presentation, please use a special question box right on your computer screen, and I will do my best to answer all your questions regarding, I don't know, TKT, Cambridge qualifications, everything. Okay, so all the recordings will be sent to you in 1 or 2 days alongside with your certificates of participation. Okay, so I'm very pleased to introduce you our presenter, Anna. Okay, sorry. Okay. And Delta trainer. Anna has been working as a teacher trainer for many years. And so, guys, join me in welcoming Anna Kashcheeva for today's session, Module 3. Okay, Anna, let's start.
Thank you, Yelena. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's get started, shall we? So, very happy to see many participants from our yesterday's webinar and the one on Tuesday. So type in a plus if you were present on one of the days, 2 pluses if you've been to 2 of them. Yeah. Okay, good, a diligent attendee. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, okay. Well done. Well done. Yes, good. You know, consistency is very important, and hopefully you'll be inspired, yeah, by using the resources I'm recommending, yeah, some of the strategies, and hopefully it'll really help, yeah, during the TKT test if you're going to take it, yeah. If you're test takers, that's basically what we would like to help you with, to equip you with. If you're not test takers, but you are just keen teachers, professionals, yeah, I'm also happy to work with you today. I'm sure there is always some kind of room for improvement, yeah, and we can find some areas of interest. So there is something to talk about, to collaborate, and so on. So, awesome. Again, thank you very much for joining me. I think what we did on the first couple of days was some kind of introduction of TKT, teaching knowledge test, right? We focused on Model 1 and Model 2 content areas. And hopefully you've come to grips what teaching is like, yeah, what learning theories to keep in mind, yeah, to help you. Obviously, everything that we've been talking about will be still relevant today, because today we are focusing on Model 3, which is about classroom management, which is about what we actually do in our lessons. And everything you know, your background knowledge, your understanding of the principles, teaching techniques, some kind of theories that you are relying on, yeah? Maybe you rely on some principles that you were exposed to as a student. Maybe you are using some modern principles, yeah? More up to date, like post-communicative methods. Remember, we've talked about that. I don't know, but everything contributes to your lesson planning and further on what you do in your lessons. So let's learn the ropes about classroom management, right? Okay, so the plan for today. As I said, we are going to talk about classroom management. So classroom management is just an umbrella term, and there are many, many things embedded there, right? What does it entail? So you can see a couple of things highlighted in the syllabus, yeah, TKT syllabus. They are on the slide right now in front of your eyes. How we manage the learning process, what teaching techniques we are selecting, and hopefully it's like a conscious decision. It's not we are taking whim decisions, right? We understand what we are doing. Like if we ignore a student's error, we understand why, because the focus was on fluency, and it's not a good idea to interrupt them at this stage, yeah? And vice versa, yeah, when we need to interrupt them or show a gesture, maybe without interrupting, but still giving them a hint, right? Yeah, so third singular S might be a problem for many students, even higher level students. So perhaps you can put an S on the whiteboard, in the corner of the whiteboard, and you'll be just using this gesture to remind them not to skip that, yeah? There is a lot of content related to language we use in the lessons. It's not only about our language, yeah, teacher talking time, it's about student talking time and student language too. And quite often I just read another report from one of my trainees on a course on advanced methodology. And she's saying the students switched to Russian. Yeah, they started using L1 at a certain stage, yeah, and it was a productive stage. And obviously, the idea was to help them, to equip them with some language, yeah, and then to help them interact in English. But for low-level students, it was hard, which is why they started using their first language. Now, what happened? Yeah, what went wrong? Perhaps the teacher's assumptions were not actually relevant, yeah, and they didn't anticipate some of the problems that might occur. Maybe the functional language that they supplied their students with at the language preparation stage wasn't sufficient. And what is important to do, sometimes things like that happen, but what is important is your natural reaction, your responsive manner, so you can see what they need and you can help them, right? So that they can go back and use only English. Yeah, quite often in my classes, I remind that this is an English speaking zone. Yeah, and the students are motivated to follow this rule. It's a kind of game. When they enter the room, Zoom, whatever conference, yeah, it doesn't matter if it is offline or online. The rules are the same. Let's try to use only English, yeah. Our students are not likely to be exposed to English usage on a regular basis. And this is a nice chance for them to speak English here, right? So, classroom management, yeah, it's not only about the language that we are supplying our students with and we are using throughout the lesson, it's also about time management. Oh, by the way, what else might be involved, yeah? What is classroom management? Let's arrange our first brainstorming activity, okay? Use the chat box, type in your ideas. Behavior, yes. Seating arrangements, absolutely right, yes. What else? Classroom management. There are lots of things. We started talking about some of them actually yesterday. I showed you some grouping arrangements. Transitions from one stage to another, very good. Yeah, interactions, timing, of course. Yeah, different types of activities. Yeah, procedure in general. Yeah, yeah, assessment, very good. It is always there, right? Yeah, some classroom rules, I think that's what you mean. Yeah, yeah, different types of interactions. Again, mingling is yeah, mentioned. Yeah, good. Yeah, building rapport, exactly. Maintaining a high level of motivation. Yes, using technical aids, equipment. Yeah, good. A friendly environment, absolutely right. We want to keep that. So that students feel at ease. Remember their low affective filter, yeah? So we wanted to keep it lower, because if they are anxious, yeah, they're not eager to be fluent. They're focusing on accuracy all the time. They often get stuck when they start speaking, and so on and so forth. Yes, absolutely. So yes, motivation. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, yeah. Some of the principles from Stephen Krashen's hypothesis. Yeah, absolutely right. Awesome. Well, obviously, in TKT, you won't be asked about the principles highlighted by Stephen Krashen, but the understanding of these principles can help you answer some questions, because they make sense, honestly. Yeah, this is common sense. Okay, what else? Yeah, you can see here on the slide that learners' errors, yeah, belong to this model. So being able to respond to your learners shows your understanding how to deal with the errors they're making. So you need to understand different types of mistakes, like if it is a lexical error, for example, yeah, or phonology related to pronunciation. They might be different errors related to breakdown in communication, right? Maybe students are not aware of some interactive strategies. So this is not a grammatical mistake, but still you can help your learners and give appropriate feedback. Yeah, revision can help. Yeah, definitely. All right. And finally, different activities, yeah, and procedures related to assessment, feedback, and so on and so forth. So, sounds like a very detailed plan. Obviously, we won't be able to cover everything, but remember what I usually do. I prepare a variety of slides with plenty of sample tasks. Usually they are like extract from tasks so that they can fit in the slide. But you'll be aware of different areas, yeah, from Model 3 for sure, okay? And we'll focus on some strategies, as always. One of the strategies is, of course, to be a reflective practitioner, yeah? So whatever you do in your lessons, just evaluate whether something went wrong or something went well, and why did that happen? If it was a successful lesson, there is something to reflect. Yeah, what makes it really successful? Were the students enjoying the whole process? Did they evaluate their own performance? Yeah, what else can be done to help them? How can they be better learners? Things like that. There is always room for improvement. Okay, now going back one step, just one step, yeah, to Model 2, and something that we've talked about related to lesson planning, of course. Lesson planning can be a kind of cycle too. Yeah, you can see here what Jane Moon highlighted in her book. Remember, I mentioned that book when we talked about TKT young learners. For that model, there is no course book, but Jane Moon's book can help you prepare for TKT young learners. That book is relevant not only for those who work with young learners, actually, because there are quite a few principles highlighted there that can help even when you work with adult learners. But if you work with primary children, it'll be particularly useful. Now, the diagram that I'm highlighting is about how to go around lesson planning. What can help, right? What to consider. And as you can see, one of the points highlighted in this wheel is choosing audiences, right? So by understanding your learners' needs, you can actually start as a kind of springboard. Then you can generate ideas. Which topics are relevant for them? Yeah, what else we can see here? Which activities will work better? Will they have to be shorter, or we can extend some of them, right? Again, for young learners, perhaps because of their short attention span, you'll be keeping quite a lot of short activities, yeah, changing a setlander stirrer, things like that. To help them calm down a little bit, do something serious, but then boost energy if it is possible. By the way, how are you feeling today? Are you energetic? Let's give it like from 1 to 10. What's your energy level is like? Are you just fine? Oh, you're fantastic. Okay, quite a lot of energetic people today. Yeah, you see, that's a simple warm-up activity, but it motivates learners. I remember starting this lesson, starting my lessons with this activity when I worked with kids on a regular basis. And what we did, I would always ask them, how are you? And at the beginning, they would say, I'm sad, I am tired. I feel hungry, something else. Yeah, some people say I'm miserable. Yeah, depending on their level. Anyway, I understand they come with certain psychological needs to our lessons, right? And then I would create a kind of reward chart on the board with their names, and I would draw a kind of face with their emotions, yeah, depending on what they said. If they say, I'm sad, I'm miserable, so I draw a sad face, right? And then during the lesson, they could see that many faces are already positive and they're still sad. They say, Anna, I feel better now. Could you change that? Could you change that drawing, please? Yeah, I feel happy. And that's a very good sign. They want to feel motivated. They want to be happy. So just promoting this kind of attitude, yeah, can help. Yeah, it's a nice activity. It's a simple trick, but it is working, trust me. And of course, you have to inspire them, yeah, with this positivity. It's not only, coming out of them, but developing the intrinsic motivation is extremely important. It works for everyone, yeah, for teenagers, for adult learners, anything. For teenagers, sometimes I put on the whiteboard game. And then if they misbehave, which might happen quite often, what teenagers are like, you can erase one letter or a couple of letters there. And then if they start behaving again, yeah, if they are more serious, if they change their attitude during the lesson, you can actually add those lessons that are missing. So at the end of the lesson, if there is still a readable word, game, then we can play a game at the end. And if it's not readable, sorry guys, yeah, next time probably you need to behave better. So again, some kind of classroom management techniques, which are very, very important for young learners. For adult learners, I don't know what they're like, but obviously you need to adjust your techniques a little bit too. And if you work with like business people, they're really serious. Sometimes a joke can actually melt their eyes, right? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I like using different metaphors, and someone is suggesting using a tree with leaves. Yeah, that's a good idea. Right, exactly. Adults are like kids. They want to have fun, absolutely. Okay, yeah, try it out. It can help. Now, we want to choose some kind of starting point to hook our students, yeah, to attract their attention, to grab their interest. But then, of course, we don't want to lose it, yeah? So the level of interest, motivation should stay relatively high, and which is why we need a variety of activities. How many activities you need, I don't know. It depends on the level of your students, your goals, and many other aspects. But to be honest, less is more. So don't overplan. It's good to have 1 or 2 activities up your sleeve just in case if something goes wrong and some of the activities are not working. But honestly, like 5 stages, 6 stages, yeah, for a lesson, like for an hour or 45-minute lesson will be good enough. Otherwise, you won't be exploiting the materials. Sometimes I build a lesson just around one activity. And one productive task, yeah, one productive task can work. And then you just think how to help students, how to equip them, how to generate interest, and so on and so forth. So you create this kind of wheel or cycle, whatever you call it. We always keep in mind our goals. In Jane Moore's term, choose outcomes. What they are going to achieve by the end of the lesson. This is very important. So this is just another way of considering how to plan your lesson. Yeah, obviously, you don't always plan one single lesson at a time. You consider how to integrate it into the whole course of study. And again, I can't stop repeating and highlighting and exaggerating the importance of needs analysis. Yeah. So something that you do on the go. Yeah. You take some spontaneous decisions. You keep in mind your learners' communicative needs. Yeah. Goals and objectives, like if they want to take an exam, obviously the goals are more straightforward. Yeah, but you also consider skills, systems, how to help them upgrade their level. It's not only about practicing, for example, productive skills, but it's about equipping them with something new, right? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, different types of syllabus, yeah? So quite a lot of books are still following structural syllabus, right? That means that they're based on grammar-based syllabus, yeah? So we start with the present simple, yeah, we talk about habits, what we do on a regular basis. Then in one of the lessons, there is this kind of input on present continuous, what we are doing now, and other things. Yeah, step by step, students are exposed to different tenses, and then of course some comparative forms or something else. But anyway, it's called a structural syllabus. More modern books, there aren't many, but still you can find them, yeah, available right now, suggest or offer the idea of functional syllabus. Remember, we've talked about that. With the focus on topical areas, situations, and supplying students with some useful language. Yeah, so those are the most popular, perhaps. Yeah, now we also have the lexical approach, which is popular, and you can find a lot of books with the focus on lexis. Yeah, lots of input on useful collocations, just words, interesting words. Yeah, like descriptive language, for example, and so on and so forth. Also a way, and I like a healthy combination. A little bit of grammar, a little bit of lexis, a little bit of skill-based things, right? Because remember, language can be seen as a set of skills which are trainable. And we need to focus on training those skills. It's not only about giving input all the time. Yeah, it's about practicing, applying some strategies. That's also important, especially for exam preparation. Like if you are TKT takers, you understand that. That's why I show you quite a lot of sample tasks. Okay, and then the methodology that we are relying on will be handy, right? We'll be relying on our understanding which roles we need to take, which activities are useful, like using tasks with a communicative focus, some authentic materials, and so on and so forth. Right, and then at the end, yeah, you have this bullet point 5. We haven't talked much about assessment. We didn't have time yesterday, but here you can see different types of tests highlighted. Yeah, it's a kind of list. Now, do you know the principles behind each one? Do you know the difference between formative and summative assessment? Type in a plus if yes, or I can clarify those terms. Okay. Okay, some people, yeah, need some clarification. So let me just give you a simple example. If you give a progress test at the end of the unit, each unit on a regular basis, this is formative evaluation or assessment. Yeah. If you give students a test at the end of the course, this is called summative assessment. It's also called an achievement test. Yeah, so achievement and summative, they go back to back. There are also diagnostic tools. We can run a diagnostic test at the beginning of the course to understand what learners are capable of and to identify their needs, gaps in knowledge. Sometimes we run a diagnostic test at the beginning of a lesson. Yeah, again, if we refer to lesson frameworks, test, teach, test. Yeah, is one of those. You want to see what students need. You want to see what they know already. Exactly. So a short test can be given as a kind of controlled practice activity, and then you teach them covering all the areas they're not really confident about at this stage. There are also placement tests. Those are taken before the course starts. So basically, if you have a new student at your school, they're likely to be having this. Yeah, they'll be taking a placement test so that we can see which group to recommend for them, place them. And proficiency tests are those that are taken by candidates regardless of the course of study. For example, Cambridge tests or IELTS or some other proficiency test. Yeah, so there is a board of examiners. Yeah, they'll be allocating bands, scores, and so on. And teachers are not involved in that, yeah, because it doesn't depend on the course of study they've taken. Yes, TOEFL is another example. Absolutely right. Yeah, you can see I'm referring to one of the books, which is Beyond TKT and CELTA Level. Yeah, the Language Teaching Matrix by Richards. Yeah, yesterday I recommended a couple of books, and when I mentioned this book, yeah, Teach Essential Knowledge by Jeremy Harmer, someone said, it's basic, it's for newbies. Well, I agree on the one hand, yeah, but I keep recommending different sources, yeah, for different levels. So we've already talked about Jane Moon's book, Children Learning English, yeah. So that's more of an area of specialism, of course. Then remember yesterday, we talked about different methods. So there is this fantastic booklet. I wouldn't call it a book because it's really thin, but it's a concise summary of different teaching methods. So it's called 30 Language Teaching Methods by Scott Thornberry. So if you want more advanced methodology books, yeah, perhaps refer not to Jeremy Harmer's books, but Scott Thornberry's books. He produced a lot. One of them was on discourse. Another one is how to teach Lexis, for example, yeah, the one that I've just mentioned. There is also an A to Z, yeah, kind of dictionary or glossary. And also in collaboration with Luke Meddings, they produced, Scott Thornberry and Luke produced Teaching Unplugged, which is about dogma. Remember, we've talked about that approach, material light lessons. So if you need more recommendations, yeah, drop me a line. I'll be happy to share some other ideas. And of course, there are plenty of websites, yeah. Like one of them is the blog by Scott Thornberry. You can find it, yeah, if you Google. It's free of charge. Another blog by Hancock, Mark Hancock and his wife. Yeah, so it's called Hancock and MacDonald. If you are interested in teaching phonology in a better way, you will find plenty of ideas. Yeah. Not Hancock the movie, no. Mark Hancock, yeah, is an expert on phonology. Yeah. And then, yeah, by, hold on, Carol Reed, of course, yeah, a fantastic blog for those who are interested in teaching young learners. And the list is endless. Yeah, Lexical Approach, Lexical Leo, of course, by Leo Sullivan. Yeah, so plenty of free resources. Just give it a go. Start exploring different methods. Now, so what TKT syllabus entails? What are the most important components? So we've mentioned classroom management and many things related to that. Yeah, methodologies, needs analysis tools. What else? Use the chat box. Share with me what you think. Khalil, yes, okay, so different methods and content and language integrated learning. Again, if you're interested to read more about that, search for David Marsh. I think there is an interview with him available on YouTube and quite a few articles, and of course the book, yeah, on Khalil by David Marsh. Yeah, grammar translation, why not? Okay. You're listing different methodologies. Oh, lesson frameworks, PPP, for example. Very good, yes. TBL I've seen. Yeah, techniques. Yeah, useful techniques, for example, concept checking questions. Yeah, good. Yeah, and other methods and approaches, of course. Charts. Actually, one of the points in the syllable is terminology. And what I find is that many candidates don't understand some acronyms, some abbreviations. So, for example, IP, what will that stand for? IP, any hints? Internet provider. Okay, yeah, that's been creative. Yeah, not really relevant for our teaching context, but yeah, okay, might be helpful, of course. Individual planning. Yeah. Interaction patterns. Yeah, interaction patterns. And actually, for interaction patterns, we have quite a lot of acronyms, like S1S is for individual work. Yeah. Or IW is another way of putting it in a concise form, yeah? And there are some other acronyms. So again, find the glossary and have a look. There are plenty of acronyms you need to be aware of. Some of them you have already listed. I can see ESL, TTT, yeah, PPP, TBL, and so on. Yeah, the list, well, it's not endless. Yeah, luckily for TKT takers, it's quite digestible, honestly. So I've got a word cloud. Yeah, on the previous slide, I highlighted one of the online tools I like using. It's a word cloud generator. It's called Word Art. So I showed it on purpose so that you can be inspired and get another hint what visuals you can use in the lessons, creating word clouds. Now, this can be an interactive activity. And once I ran a TKT course for experienced teachers, and we produced this word cloud together. It was a collaborative activity. I shared the link for the word cloud for this website. Yeah, I opened that word cloud for everyone. And then you just share the link. And if it's like an online lesson, it's very easy to do. Everyone goes there and they type in their box, yeah, word boxes, their ideas. And then the word cloud is generated automatically. And you can show it to everyone. Yeah. So I have already highlighted Answer Garden, yeah, on one of my slides as a very good cloud word cloud generator. Here is another idea how to run collaborative activities. Now, on this slide, yeah, generated with the help of word art, you can see the important components for TKT. So first of all, you need to understand how all the models are connected, a kind of overview. Yeah? Have a look, bird's view, that's very important, the kind of holistic approach to that. And then you can see different bits and pieces, yeah? Something that you need to understand, like the lessons can be on either systems or skills. Remember, we've talked about that. Students need to be exposed to the language first. We need to give them accurate models. Remember my example about a lesson that wasn't successful. Students started using L1 at the production stage. perhaps they weren't exposed to a model. And if they had been exposed to a model, yeah, that wouldn't have happened. So things like that. Then we can supply students with different functional language. Remember the exponents we've talked about. Today we are also going to touch upon classroom language and different functions related to that. Yeah, and some other things we've already mentioned. Yeah, one of them is actually mock test. So if I were you, I would probably download at least the sample test from the handbook, time yourself, and do it like one model at a time, of course. Time yourself. You have only 80 minutes. You have to answer 80 questions. How many of them you can do without thinking much, and which areas are still challenging for you, so perhaps you can read more about those. Yeah, right. So it's a kind of needs analysis, diagnostic tool for you, and you know what you need to do next. Okay, so let's talk about the stages of an activity. We have many activities in mind. I'll show you some examples in a moment. But the stages are likely to be similar. So there is some kind of motivation, exactly. So preparation, yeah, mental help, you know, yeah, what I mean, some kind of support, yeah. 67 out of 80. That's a good one. That's a good one. Identify the areas that are challenging for you, or maybe task types that you find tricky, maybe odd one out. Honestly, that's quite a frequent case. Yeah, and just practice more. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, some kind of warm up, some kind of preparation. Exactly. You can't just say, do this. There will be something preparatory. Yeah, introducing this activity. Yeah, you usually teachers neglect that, but it's a kind of transition. Yeah, it's a kind of I don't know, you need to sell it. You just need to sell it, whatever the activity is like, right? And then, yes, during the stage type of thing, and then after the stage, yeah? So within each stage, we're not talking about the whole lesson. We're talking about one particular activity. There is something you need to do at the beginning, again, a kind of hook, yeah? Giving instructions, introducing it, yeah? We are going to play a game, yeah? Instead of, you know what, today the topic is grammar. I know you find it boring, but that's okay. Yeah, I think by the end of the lesson, if there is time, we can play a game. So you need to sell it. We are going to play a game. Guys, look, how many of the questions can you answer? You can work in teams and so on. Yeah, so, and then each stage will consist of several micro stages: before, during, and after. Yeah. So it depends on the task type. It depends on the aim of that stage, right? So if you think about the instructional cycle and a cycle of any activity, so how to introduce, what to give them as preparation, what you'll be doing actually while they're performing. Yeah, will you have to identify problems or something? Yeah, and after task activities. So which of them are preparatory or introductory stages? Type in your ideas in the chat box. Introductory stages, what are they? Orientation, good. Review, absolutely right. Yes. Yeah, instructions actually can go into task setting type of stage, but yeah. Yeah, introducing the task, yeah. Okay, what will happen during preparatory stages? That's quite easy. We have only one answer here. Check up instruction, yeah. Can't see the thing I want to see. Okay, I'll show you what I've got. Yeah, preparation, someone has said. Good, okay, exactly. So content and language preparation. That's what we need. By content, we mean what we'll be talking about, yeah, if it is a productive activity. And by language, we mean how, what tools we can use, what language we can use, yeah. Okay, then at task setting stage, of course, you'll be given instructions. You may be clarifying some of the things on the go while monitoring, yeah, checking understanding exactly, yeah. Then there will be giving out copies and demonstrating the task, very good. And what we'll do at the end of each stage, what do we do after task activities? Feedback, yeah. Yeah, so feedback, what kind of feedback we can give? Yeah, evaluation, exactly, promoting reflection perhaps. So feedback again as preparation on content and language, right? The same thing here. So first we respond to students' ideas, content-wise. That's a brilliant suggestion. Yeah, what else can we do? Yeah, something like that. Like if there is a problem they had to solve. And then you can also say, oh, I've noticed that you were using the present perfect here. Yeah. Can you give me an example? Okay. Can we correct these couple of utterances? And so on. So that's what we've got. Yeah. Hopefully you have the same ideas. Have a look. During task performance, you can't be relaxed. You're still busy. You are still helping if necessary, or monitoring unobtrusively, yeah, taking notes. That's how you're preparing for the feedback so that it is relevant and really helpful. Yeah, you can praise, yeah, you can sort of give them some kind of signs that they're on the right track, they're doing the right thing. Yeah, and then you can also ensure that everyone is involved, yeah, and those who are reluctant perhaps can get a nudge from you. Yeah. Okay. So now, having considered everything we need to rely on, perhaps not everything, because you know the list is endless, but some of the things that are really important, we are focusing on Model 3 content. What is there? As you can see, what happens in the classroom, yeah, and that's fascinating. That's what we like, you know. Unlike course book writers, creators of different courses, we also have this kind of reward. We can see how everything is working, even if it's not working successfully, right? This is our reward. We can see some kind of outcome of what we've created. Roles, yeah, teacher roles. Again, we'll talk about that briefly. How we can exploit all the opportunities, even language utterances, yeah, different utterances, language use that our students manage to come up with, yeah. Some different interactions, yeah, what is happening? So how can you be natural there and maintain an authentic environment, yeah? So those things, that's a fascinating model. I think it's very practical. Anyway, let's focus on the sequence of the instructions, guys. So this is a sample task. Have a look. The first one is setting up some vocabulary review. What will come first, A, B, C, or D? C comes first, obviously, yes. That's a kind of classroom language, our introductory phase. Yeah, very good. What will come next? B, perhaps, yeah? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you have some good ideas, yeah? A and D, perhaps, yeah, in this order. Yeah, many of you agree with this sequence. Right, so that makes sense. And then you give them some time for working individually. I would also split that instruction. Yeah, work on your own or by yourself, full stop, pause, then you can see they have already done that. Okay, now check with a person sitting next to you. That's how they won't be confused whether to start speaking right away, yeah, or to work individually. Staging instructions. Let's focus on the second situation, setting up controlled speaking practice. What comes first? Okay, some people are giving all the answers. I agree that B comes first. Look at the handout. Yeah, you're not giving the handout yet. You are just putting it like that and you're saying, look. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so B first, then we've got C. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So that's the way to go around it. And then they start working in pairs, asking each other, yeah, and taking notes of the answers. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. So sequencing instructions is actually quite a common task in TKT3 models. Yeah. Perhaps it'll be matching, like some of the instructions will be missing, or choosing which comes next, something like this. Yeah. Or which one doesn't belong to this stage. Yeah. Odd one out. Let's focus on the third one to finish it up. Changing partners. D, C, I don't agree. D, A, that's better. Okay, so that's the recommended answer. When I say go, I'd like you to stand up and find the person, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, makes sense? Yes, and then you finish with this kind of signal, yeah, signposting, cue, off you go. Yeah, right. Okay, instead of asking any questions, I would probably use a proper ICQ. So will you have to work with one partner or several partners? Yeah. Or I would further clarify how much time is given or something like that. Yeah. Do you think 2 minutes will be good enough for this activity? Off you go. Okay. Now, why asking what's the opposite of huge might not be a good thing to do? What do you think? Hold on. I'm not asking you what's the opposite of huge. I'm asking you why asking this question is not a good idea. Yeah, there is focus on exactly. They may not know the word huge. Exactly. So you want to teach something like tiny, but you're confusing them, by giving them another challenging word. Exactly. So we need to keep our CCQs, and you mentioned that acronym previously, yeah? Concept checking questions. We need to keep them short, concise, and clear. We are not using challenging words in our CCQs and ICQs. Okay, let's move on. The second question is, which role does a teacher take when they group learners? I would say a manager, yeah, can work better than facilitator, because when you work as a facilitator, you are sort of helping, even if you're not intrusive there. Yeah, you might be helping just by your presence, by giving some signs that everything is all right. Yeah. But when you group your learners, like you and you work together. Okay, you come here, you'll be working with this partner, yeah, and so on. So it's more about arranging things, yeah, so managerial roles. Okay, now let's move on. Which functions is likely to be of this expression, this phrase? Well, let me think. Why would you say, why would your student say, let me think? Well, let me think. Exactly, they are time-buying devices. Could you give me another filler, time filler? What else can we say if we don't know yet what to say and we are sort of buying some time there? What phrases we can use? Yeah, okay. Good, that's an interesting question. Yeah. What I can say is, yeah, yeah, in my opinion, yeah, yeah. Could you repeat the question? Is asking for clarification. The function is different. Yeah. Yeah, some kind of discourse markers. Yeah, in my opinion, yeah. Yeah, hold on, let me think. Yeah, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, okay, so those things, very good. Let's move on. So the next prompt is a sentence stem. I want you to finish it. Grading language means, now over to you. What does it mean? Yeah, adapted, yeah, very good. Adjusted to their level, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that it is understandable, absolutely right, yeah. From easy to difficult. So if I say something like, read text, page 34, will it be grading language? Why not? Why not? Yeah, so the language is not a good model, right? It's not natural, it's not accurate. We need to simplify some of the things, but still keep them natural. So yeah, that's what grading language is like, yeah? Instead of saying, could you please read this fantastic text on page 33, you can say, read the text on page 33. Yeah, that's still a correct sentence, but it's not too sophisticated for students. Okay, awesome. Let's move on. Which correction technique is more appropriate for promoting learner autonomy and developing learning skills? What do you recommend? Self-assessment, but how? Which techniques? Finger correction, yeah? So you can say, you can use gestures, yeah? Or you can show some, yeah, finger techniques, yeah? To prompt them. Letters, yeah? Correction codes. Peer correction, exactly, yeah. Does anyone know the answer? Something like that. Cards, okay, maybe. Yeah, okay, yeah, self-correction, but yeah, we need to use some techniques to prompt students, yeah. Yeah, echoing, exactly. You can just repeat what they've said with a rising tone, yeah, and they'll respond to that, hopefully. Yeah, you can ask a CCQ. Very good. Great ideas. Great ideas. Okay. Now, guys, I'm going to share a technique that you can use with your students, especially when you run well, actually, it doesn't matter whether it is offline or online. Students like different games, different activities. I remember, I think I asked you yesterday about some of the things you use for revision and consolidation activities, and some of you mentioned Kahoot. Have you played Kahoot yourself with your learners? Well, once I was in a situation when I had to run a conference for quite a lot of people in a venue without a proper internet connection. And my talk was on using online tools. And of course, Kahoot was one of them I wanted to use. I couldn't, yeah. So what I decided to do, I still decided to keep it interactive, competitive, but we turned it into something like this. So please prepare a piece of paper. Yeah, everyone has, yeah, a piece of paper, fold it like this, and fold it again, and then unfold them. How many boxes can you see on a piece of paper? Why 3? Have you actually done it? Because yeah, you're not good at counting, I think. Yeah, 4. Very good. Exactly. There will be 4 boxes. In one of the boxes, you're putting A. In another, B. Yeah. In the third one, C and D. A, B, C, D. So it's like multiple choice. If you prepare students for exams, if you want to keep them motivated, yeah, here it is, yeah, an activity that you will be able to use for a variety of tasks, turning a kind of controlled practice activity or reading comprehension into something more interactive and competitive. Now, the students will have to work in groups. Well, with you, obviously, because it's a webinar, it's not a Zoom session, you won't be able to show me your pieces of paper, but you'll be able to type the letters in the chat box. So what makes it fun? What makes it fun? First of all, the competitive element. Secondly, that they can collaborate, there is teamwork, they can discuss and negotiate their answers. It boosts confidence, and weaker students can get ideas from stronger students. Okay, so let's give it a go. Here is the first question. A, B, C, or D. Type in the idea in the chat box. Check meaning of the lexical item. Okay, first you need to identify the type of task. Is it multiple choice or it's odd one out, guys? It is an odd one out. So that's not checking meaning. That's not eliciting. It's something else. What is not a good reason for asking? Oh, now I can see the right answer is appearing. Very good. Of course, it's C. All the rest, eliciting, checking meaning, checking understanding, keeping students focused, are good reasons for asking CCQs. But it's not a way to let them practice. They won't be saying the target language here, right? So it's not a practice task. Okay, the next one. Be careful if it is really a multiple choice or odd one out. Okay, now this is easier, right? It's straightforward. There are no tricks here. Yeah, everyone knows that this should be B. Fantastic. Good job. Yeah, okay. Okay, we are ready to move on, right? Okay, a lot of correct answers. Well done. Okay. You see, you've been well prepared. We have already discussed all of the things, and that's what you do with your learners. Yeah, you can't give them a test without preparing them for that. Yeah, you can't give them a controlled practice activity without clarifying language. That's what we do in our lessons, right? Sequencing, preparing. So language preparation was given. Now it's an easy task to do. Okay, amazing. And one more. Okay. Either keep it up. You are one of the most active participants. Well done. Okay. Okay. So we are all on the same page. I'm just revealing the answer, of course. Yeah, the right level. And I have one more challenge for you. Here we go. Okay, so what we have is a variety of ideas, but many people are selecting D. Yeah, so let's just talk about that. So if you repeat what they've said, yeah, it doesn't necessarily promote learner autonomy. It might involve others, correct, yeah? It doesn't help develop learning skills because they still expect you to give them a prompt. If you correct immediately, yeah, obviously that doesn't promote learner autonomy at all. If you reformulate, you have already corrected them. So they're not motivated to focus on accuracy anyway. But giving some kind of letters, some kind of codes, showing them how they can improve, what to focus on, yeah, and giving them time actually to improve their performance, that will work better, yeah. So again, thinking about priorities, yeah, what is the best, the most appropriate, or more appropriate, as it says in the rubric, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Autonomy is the essential word. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you need to prioritize. Great ideas. We use a variety of techniques for correcting learners, but what it is for, yeah, good. Okay, now what we've done. So I prepared some PowerPoint slides, yeah, and we played an interactive activity with the students. We would probably arrange groups, yeah, and we would probably use Quizlet Live or Kahoot, yeah, or something like that. But if you anticipate some technical problems, perhaps you can turn it into just PowerPoint animated slides, and it'll still work. It doesn't matter, right? So if you don't have access to the projector, you don't have a laptop or a computer in a room, what can be done? Can we still keep it interactive? Can you keep it student-centered? Of course, yeah. Yeah, you can either create a handout with some prompts, you can put things on the board, you can ask students to create questions to challenge each other, and it'll be a student-generated quiz. Great ideas. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, now talking about the differences between online and offline lessons. Obviously, online, quite often you'll be using Zoom or Skype, yeah, and I think Zoom has a lot of functionalities that we really like, for example, polls, yeah, of course, breakout rooms, that's how you can keep the whole thing interactive, yeah. In other applications, you also have the same things as screen share and sound share, different whiteboard tools and so on. You can also consider using other technical aids, even if it's the lesson that you deliver offline. For example, QR code generators. Yeah, that's how you can keep your activities more motivating for the students. Instead of giving them a worksheet, you can project a code, yeah, or you can print them out and put the QR codes around the room. And different students will have to work in different groups, scanning codes and find activities like worksheets. Yeah, it's a free tool. You need to actually to learn how to use it, but the instructions are given. And then you can create a variety of activities and students will get immediate feedback. Yeah, it's very good for controlled practice activities or reading comprehension or listening comprehension tasks. Yeah. A couple of other things you can see: online stopwatch. So if you need to time the activity, if you keep your students challenged, yeah, setting time restrictions, that can be used, and there are different sound effects there. Yeah, Padlet is a very good tool. It can be used as a kind of portfolio for different learners, yeah, and they can build it up during the course. It can be a nice brainstorming tool. It can be a tool for collecting students' texts and giving feedback, yeah, to each other. So there are many different uses of Padlet, of course. Word art that I've already recommended, and a couple of dictionaries. I think I mentioned NetSpeak, yeah, which is a kind of search, which is based on corpus, and it'll help you identify how words go together. It's very good for lesson planning, but it can be a tool recommended for students. If they have to write an essay, for example, yeah, they can rely on that tool. Yeah, and then a couple of dictionaries. Urban Dictionary can work well for teenagers who are curious and they are interested in language like that. And NetLingo is for IT people, you know, those who are curious, which acronyms they can use, how they can text each other, yeah, in a concise way, and so on. And then, of course, one look dictionary search. So if you are not satisfied with the dictionaries you're using right now, you can find out more by using onelook.com. Okay, yes, and of course there are plenty of other things. I just wanted to mention a few, something that we didn't have time the other time, and they can be used in offline settings too. If you want to learn more, I've got, someone has mentioned Google Disc. I've got a whole course on using online tools on Schoology, which is an LMS, learning management system, where you can upload different materials, create different tasks. You can use it for free, creating some kind of flipped classroom activities, yeah, just blended learning in general. So if you're interested, you can join that class and see different tips on different tools that I've just mentioned. I can't find time for talking about everything, like Flaticon, for example, I haven't mentioned yet. Yeah, and there will be some dictionaries that we haven't mentioned yet and some other things. So if you're interested, yeah, you can follow the link later on. Now, let's talk about two aspects. Yeah, we have either the language we use in the classroom or classroom management. I'm going to say something and you type in the chat box L if it is about language and M if it is about management. Categorizing learning mistakes. Categorizing, yeah, learning, yeah, exactly. It's more about management and yeah, maybe language too, because you know the mistakes, they are usually linguistic. The roles of the teacher. Well, I assume you are giving me the answers to the next one, management, yeah. Okay. Giving feedback. So there is a mixture of L and M, I can see. And obviously, when we give feedback, quite often it's linguistic. Yeah, so you will have to say something like well done, for example. Yeah, so there will be both. Okay. Sequencing of the instructions. Yeah. Okay, again, there is a mixture because instructions are words and sequencing them, perhaps, yeah, how to manage our talk. Grouping learners. Okay, so we have quite a few areas, of course, yeah. I've just highlighted a few and you seem to be aware what might be involved there, yeah. Again, those are highlighted in the handbook, yeah, and some more specific areas can be found in different sample tasks. So let's talk a little bit about teacher roles, yeah, different functions that we have to keep in mind. What do they depend on? Do they depend on methodology, on the underpinning principles? Yes, no, plus, minus? Yes, okay. How about students' expectations? Do we adjust our techniques based on their expectations? Okay, some people are saying probably not. And you know what? I agree. Maybe our students' expectations are different because they're not ready. They're not used to communicative classroom. Yeah. And we need to train them. We need to gradually prepare them for certain things. And then the expectations will change. Hopefully, they will adjust and they will have different goals. Yeah. Later on. Yeah, okay. And how is our role different depending on the stage of the lesson? Yeah. So that's something to consider. Like at the beginning, we are likely to be motivators, right? We manage the classroom, yeah. We ensure this atmosphere that we want to be conducive to learning and a high level of motivation. And then we are more like facilitators, having set up an activity, you just observe, yeah, and help if necessary. Yeah, exactly. And then towards the end of the lesson, perhaps you are ready to take a step back. You don't need to be very involved in productive activities. Yeah, you can observe silently without intruding, without interrupting the flow of communication, and then collecting a lot of information and giving appropriate feedback. Can feedback be actually learner-centered? Yeah, so we can turn it into an activity when students can comment on each other's works, give praise, highlight some good language they've used, talk about what they liked about each other's speeches, for example, if there was some kind of presentation, or yeah, or just briefly discuss the content. Yeah, so that can be done. And they can also, of course, highlight each other's errors, yeah, and help each other improve. Yeah, I always say to my students, like, now suggest some ways to improve, yeah, now what can be done, help each other. Yeah, and if it's done like in pairs, in small groups, it's less intimidating and they'll be motivated to share ideas. Yeah, and cooperative activities can help too. You know, building rapport with the students and among your students, yeah, is really helpful. Okay, yeah, and yeah, so again, I like using metaphors, as you can see. Yesterday, we've talked about what a lesson might be like. Now let's talk about what a teacher might be like, yeah? So sometimes it's like what we can see in the center of the slide, yeah? I am a teacher, here is a book, that's what we do. Something traditional, yeah? So sometimes our students expect us to be like that, authoritative, yeah, knowledgeable, knowledge providers, yeah. Sometimes we are like actors, yeah, absolutely right. Or we can conduct, yeah, some kind of performance. We can be in charge of the whole orchestra, yeah, and our group is like an orchestra for us. We have to juggle different words, yeah, different things, yeah, like keeping in mind the stages, our aim, students' needs, yeah, whether to ignore or correct them, things like that. So it's about multitasking or multi-switching if you want. And sometimes we take a step back and we just observe them. Everything is going on smoothly. You don't need to intervene, yeah. Or we need to add some water, yeah, to fertilize the ground a little bit, soil, yeah, expose them to light, and so on and so forth as gardeners, yeah. Exactly. So there are many different things involved. So some of the things, those that come from the glossary are highlighted on the slide. And I think, again, we need a healthy combination of being authoritative and more like supportive. Yeah, so of course, students expect us to be friendly, but at the same time, they need to know that we know what we are doing, and we require something, and there are certain boundaries, certain rules. Yeah, so teacher-led activities and a combination of different student-centered activities as well. Yeah, I don't know what you think about disciplinarians, but managing tasks is very important. Yeah, being a leader, absolutely. Yeah. Of course, you can delegate responsibilities, but it doesn't mean you stop being a leader there, right? So I like this metaphor because it's a reminder that whatever you do doesn't mean that students get it in the same way. Whatever you teach doesn't necessarily lead to learning. Yeah, exactly. Because, yeah, sometimes you explain things, yeah, and the students even nod to you, or if you ask a CCQ, yeah, they answer them like, yes, yeah, but sometimes their answers, their responses are mechanical. They may lose concentration, they may be confused, yeah. So what might happen is this. Yeah, so they've been taught, but then they haven't learned much. Exactly, Dinara. Yes. So we can see from the learner's perspective, yeah, what is happening. So we need to take a pause occasionally. We need to observe them. We need to give them a chance to give you feedback. Yeah. Well, for example, when you skip controlled practice, you don't collect information about their understanding, right? And when they're given freer practice activity, productive tasks, they just don't, they avoid using the target language which wasn't very clear for them, right? Yeah, and also, of course, the level of interest that might affect the whole thing. And those metaphors related to being a gardener, yeah, or being an authoritative leader and teacher, yeah, they're also highlighted here. And there is an overlap between our teaching preferences and the principles, yeah, underlying principles. For example, if you believe in traditional approaches that teachers are the only source of information, yeah, you run a lesson in a teacher-led manner. It doesn't mean it has to be a lecture. It can be an interactive kind of class, but still, yeah, you are in the center. You are knowledge provider. If you assume students have some background knowledge, they're capable of helping each other, you can promote a more student-centered environment, yeah? You are more like facilitators. Now, again, to illustrate what I did here, I split the teachers into groups, and I sent links to different Jamboards. Have you ever used Google Jamboard? Yeah, that's an interactive tool, and there was a matching activity there. This is about online classes run by Zoom. Yeah, for a webinar, it's not a good idea to waste our time there because we won't be able to collaborate properly and discuss things. For offline settings, I think you can also use Jamboards, actually, especially if your students come with some kind of gadgets. Yeah, that might be a very good tool. So there is an element of peer teaching in the working groups. So there is an element of competition. Who can finish first? Yeah, you don't see anything. It's okay. I'm just demonstrating. Yeah, they worked in different groups and there was a matching task. So even an exam task can be turned into a collaborative activity. Now, how many teacher roles can you find here? So you don't have definitions. You can see only the grid with the words. Which of them you can see? Manager, absolutely right. What else? Reflector. Okay, what else? Supporter, adapter, very good. Enabler, I think. Assessor, perfect. Planner, great. Yes. So we have quite a lot of roles. Yeah. Again, find the full list in the glossary. I'm highlighting some of the most frequently used in sample tasks. Hopefully they make sense. Which of them are synonyms? So let's identify the synonyms. Very similar words, roles. So you need to type a pair of things. Yeah, advisor and counselor, absolutely right. Reflector, not so sure. Manager, enabler, perhaps. Yeah, facilitator and enabler perhaps can be better synonyms. Assessor, monitor, yeah, okay. A monitor and observer, I think we have an observer here, but they will be synonymous. Yeah. Helper, contributor, and well, contributor, yeah, maybe sometimes, yeah. Manager, supervisor, yeah, probably. Yeah. Facilitator and helper, obviously, yeah, that's a good match, yeah. Diagnostician and an assessor, there is an overlap, a huge overlap there, yeah. Yeah, you know, the definitions are given in the glossary. There is an overlap between terms, but there is something that you can spot in each definition, why it defines this particular thing and what makes it different from other terms. So this is your homework. If you want to take TKT Model 3, I think it's worth considering that there might be some tasks related to different roles and you don't have to confuse them, although there are some similarities. So let's just identify a couple of roles. Yeah, I won't be eliciting all of them, but here you can see the definition. Because it's relatively concise, yeah, I've decided to use one of them. So what role is it? Yes, it is a diagnostician. I can see someone has typed the correct answer. Very good, absolutely right. One more role I want to elicit for you. As you can see, it entails a lot of many things. So what might that be? Manager, of course, yeah, this is it. That's what we do as managers, yeah. Multitasking, multi-switching, doing too many things at the same time. Yeah, which is exciting. I think we like that, but at the same time, it's challenging. Okay, and one more. Exactly, reflector. That will be the right one. Awesome, thinking, reflecting. Okay, and a sample task from one of the old papers. So have a look. So you need to match the roles to the descriptions. Putting forward ideas cannot be about language resource. A kind of resource, but not language. Yeah. Okay. Again, personalizing is already doing something during the lesson, so it's not about planning. Okay, I can see some good ideas. So here I am highlighting the correct ones. Yeah, by putting forward ideas, you are sharing something with the students, you're prompting them, you're helping them to be more involved, yeah, perhaps by giving a model. And all the things highlighted in number 2 refers to being a language resource. Okay, I can see you agree with me now. Yeah, very good. Okay. Now, one more sample task. More teacher roles are highlighted on the left. The activities that we do are on the right. The same thing, matching. Okay, many of you are saying that number one is A. And yes, remember, grouping students, yeah, belongs to the managerial role. Absolutely right. It doesn't matter what we are saying, role play or something else, grouping. That's the key thing, manager. How about number two? If you ask someone to speak quietly, what you do? You're not diagnosing, identifying anything. That's not a diagnostician there. Again, manager. Again, yeah, a manager. This is multiple matching. Yeah, that's an example of multiple matching when you are given just 4 roles, but there will be like 8 or 10 situations, activities, and you will have to use one and the same role several times. It's given in the instructions. You need to use some options more than once. Yeah, and many people are saying that's number 3 is D. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah. So you are sort of identifying their interests, what they want to consider in the future. Yeah. Yeah. And they also contribute to the content of the course, which is amazing. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So there are tasks like that. Yeah. So when the activities are given, yeah, there are tasks when you have a situation, and again, teacher roles are highlighted. So have a look. And some of the roles we haven't considered, for example, being a friend or a parent. Okay, we have different ideas what A might be. I can see the correct answer. A is 2, a planner. Yeah, exactly. So like in the teacher's room, you can discuss what to include, what to use for your lessons. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, 3 is B or B is 3, yeah, whatever you call it. Yeah, usually in the answers, there will be numbers and then letters next to them on the answer sheet. Yeah, that's more natural. Yeah, and I don't see any ideas for C yet. So let's have a look. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's not difficult, right? Good. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So teacher roles is not really challenging, and usually it involves matching. However, we can tune it into multiple choice or odd one out to confuse us. Yeah. Yeah. Just think about that. Okay. So remember we've mentioned Kolb cycle yesterday. So here we've got another way of talking about how learning happens. Yeah, what happens there in the lesson. Yeah, we prepare students for certain activities by giving them guidance, instructions, information. Yeah. Then students start doing activities. We advise them, we give some kind of recommendations if necessary. We perhaps clarify the instructions if necessary. Yeah. Then they reflect on what they've done. Yeah. And we observe, give them support if necessary. Yeah. Then we give them feedback and input. Yeah. Which is a kind of cycle already. Yeah, our feedback might be transformed into input, and then we do the whole thing again with an element of task repetition. This idea comes from Jim Scribner's book, Learning Teaching, which is another recommended source for TKT candidates. I have already mentioned that. So let's talk about classroom language. Yeah, classroom language can be subdivided into what teachers say and what learners have to say. And if learners lack what they can say, right, they will switch into L1, which is not really a good thing. So learners have to be aware how to ask for clarification. They need to know how to chip in, yeah, whatever ideas they've got. They know how to hesitate, but still be fluent. Yeah, so time pauses, time fillers, pause fillers, sorry, are very, very handy. Yeah. And there are many other things they have to do depending on your lesson aims, type of the lesson you're running, topical areas, and so on and so forth, task types. What we as teachers do, of course, we give instructions. Of course, we clarify language. We prompt students. We give them feedback. We correct them if necessary, yeah? And there are many other things involved, yeah? Like praising students and so on. So let's have a look. These are the examples of what teachers might say. Yes, from easy to difficult, from receptive to productive, yeah, from controlled to freer, from accuracy to fluency, absolutely. Now, teacher language. So what can we say to reword a sentence or phrase or improve it? Yeah, what's the function of that? What do we call that? Like your student said, I am, or yeah, let me find another example. I think it'll appear on one of the slides, yeah. Yesterday, I see a film, yeah, and you want to reward that sentence to improve it. Reformulating, yeah, paraphrasing, good ideas. We have another term, recast, yeah. So you sort of highlight that the students have made a mistake, yeah, and reformulating that. Reformulation happens without attracting students' attention, yeah. So you don't interrupt the flow; they can still go on. Yeah, you saw a film. Which one? Yeah, and they continue talking. But if you recast, you take a pause, perhaps you attract their attention, probably require them to repeat it in a correct way. Yeah, you saw a film, and they say, yeah, saw, and they continue. Okay, so to show that it makes sense, what will be the function? What's the word we can use to define it? Number two, no, it's not paraphrasing, no. Well, I see is a very good example of what? What's the function? This is just the definition of that function. No, it's not correction. Hold on. Sort of approving, yes. Acknowledging, yeah? Okay. Now, the third one, I think dealing with definitions at this stage is a little bit tricky, so I should have given you examples first. But okay, we'll have a look at the examples in a moment. So to communicate meaning, yeah, to help them understand. So what do we do? Yeah, conveying meaning, absolutely right. That's the right thing. Number four should be easy. We keep using that every now and again, praising students, very good. And finally, making something easier. Facilitating, give me another word, adapting, better, scaffolding, yeah. Good ideas, but I want this precise term, make it easy, make it clear. Simplifying, very good. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so this is it. Those are some of the functions, yeah. And obviously those are mostly teacher functions, but students can do that, some of the things too. And the examples, I promised to give you examples. Here we go. So if you say yes and you nod, yeah, what do you do? So the same functions, let's use them. Agreeing or acknowledging, yeah? You don't like that term, yeah? How about number 2? Yeah, explaining, yeah. We had a better term, conveying, remember, conveying meaning. Okay, how about number 3? Yes, giving an example or eliciting an example, yeah? So it's eliciting, yeah. Yeah, it's one of the clarification techniques. Number 4. Praising, of course, very good. Number 5. Not exactly an example. It begins with a T. What's that? Yeah, giving clues, exactly. Prompting students, yeah. And finally, number 6. Yeah. Recasting or reformulating. Again, recasting will be with attraction, yeah, to that point, so that students can notice the correct language use. Reformulating is what parents do with their children. Quite often they just rephrase that and move on, yeah, without attracting their attention. Yeah, that's the difference. Good. Okay, have a look. On the left, you have examples of classroom language. On the right, in the box, you are given some functions. So we have 5 examples and 5 functions. However, it's just an extract from the task. I've just checked with the slide. It's you can use one and the same function several times. Yeah, 1A, very good, absolutely right. Okay. 2B, right? Yeah, so pronunciation, you give a signal so that students can correct themselves, yeah? You are not correcting, you're promoting self-correction. But yeah, the same thing here. We don't have another option. You got it right. So explaining, yeah, very good for number 3. Yep, 4D. Yeah, brilliant. Good job. Okay. Yeah, you see what I did. First, I elicited from you different terms. Secondly, yeah, we sort of reinforced that. Yeah, you consider different examples. Again, here, you don't have to create your own response. Yeah, you are given functions. So that's what makes it manageable. But when you prepare for taking the test, you can look at functions only and think of your own examples before looking at the examples given. Or you can look at the examples and think of functions without looking at the options given. That will help you choose the right answer when you see both of them. Okay. Right. I'm just confirming the answers. Do they make sense? Yeah, okay, awesome. Now let's focus on what classroom language should be like. Yeah, we've talked about the clarity of our instructions. If you are using some convoluted sentences, the students will be confused. So it should be crystal clear what to do. If it's like reading, just tell them to read the text. Direct, yeah, so usually we use what do we call that form grammatically? What form do we use when we want students to do something? Short, understandable, yeah. Imperatives. We are using imperative sentences. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't need to soften that. They understand it's just an instruction. It's not like, you know, they're not soldiers, obviously, but with high-level students, you can use could you and some indirect questions and something else. But with low-level students, it should be straightforward. Level of formality. Again, if you work with business students and their level is good enough, yeah, perhaps you'll be more polite. Yeah, there will be a kind of register that you'll be adjusting. Simple, yeah, but still natural, still polite, still relevant. So if you're saying read the text, you can add please maybe at the end. Yeah. Right. And you can also train students to respond to more complex instructions gradually, step by step. Okay. So here is, I think we've done something similar. So let me just skip this slide perhaps. Yeah, you will see the answers later. But multiple choice is something that we haven't done yet. So let me just check if it's multiple choice. Yeah. So what will be the first instruction that you have to give? It's about sequencing instructions, and you have to identify the first thing that should happen. Yeah. No, hold on. Yeah. You have 15 minutes and 10 questions. It's not about reading for gist. Reading for the first time. Be careful. Yes, 1B. Very good. Very good. Okay, how about number 2? Some people are saying 2A, and that's right. That's just the right thing to choose. Very good. So that's an eliciting technique. How about number 3? Okay. So yeah, many people are choosing C there. Yeah, very good. So first, you allocate roles. That's what you do. Yeah. That's the most important thing. They want to practice doing a role play. If we are looking at A, it's more about demonstrating the activity. That's not about the instructions that you'll be giving, right? And B is task preparation stage. Read the role cards, read the information on the role cards, right? So 3C is the correct one. Awesome. Okay. So what helped us? Keywords, right? Focusing on the right thing. Okay, so that's what multiple choice is like. Now, here is a sample task which is slightly different. Quite often in your schools, you might be observed by someone else, a trainer, an educational manager, yeah, an assistant director of studies, or something like that, right? That might happen. So then you'll be given feedback on what you've done. So we've got teacher's instructions, and there are 3 examples for you. It's an extract from a sample task. And there are 4 teacher trainers' comments. So I'll give you a moment to think. Okay, don't hurry, take your time. You need to focus on one thing at a time. Remember our strategies. Look at the instructions only. Think what might be wrong, what kind of, or maybe what's good there, right? Then only look at the options. Don't mix them up. Yeah, I can see some correct answers though. I'll reveal them in a moment, but I want everyone to reflect first. Okay, many people are saying that one is B. Yeah, so this is about sequencing the instructions or staging the instructions. Yeah, so if you plan them ahead, that can help. Number 2 is A, absolutely right. Yes, and many people agree that the third one is C. Yeah. So the instructions were given in a clear way, but the students didn't get a chance to respond. So perhaps asking an ICQ and demonstrating can help everyone to do the right thing from the very beginning. Yeah. Very good. Amazing. Okay. So let's focus on grouping students, different interaction patterns. So you can see different diagrams. Yeah, like the first one, we have the teacher in front of the students, and the students are sitting and working. Like what do we call that? Yeah, I don't want to reveal the answer. A, B, C, or D? What's number 1? Yeah, number 1 is B. Students work with the teacher in an open class. Yeah, it's a kind of teacher front activity, teacher-led stage. This is it. Yeah, many people, yeah, okay, you are using different techniques. Yeah, some of you are looking at letters, some of you are looking at the diagrams. Yeah. So if we look at the diagrams, because the numbers are there, so number 2 is, no, I'm afraid number 2 is not pairs. Yes, it's D, of course. They work individually, they work alone. We don't see any signs that they interact with each other. And the teacher is just monitoring unobtrusively, or is ready to help if necessary. Yeah. Okay, and then the third one will be A. Many people have highlighted that, and then what is left is obvious, right? Okay, so if we look at these seating arrangements and different interaction patterns, which one, 1, 2, 3, or 4, we are likely to use for controlled practice activities? Type in the number 1, 2, 3, or 4, controlled practice activity. Well, I wouldn't run it in a teacher class type of way. Then one student will be involved at a time. Yeah, probably in pairs, maybe individually first, and then a pair check. You can arrange a pair check later on. So 2 and 3. Okay, awesome. Yeah, 2 and 3. That makes sense to me. Okay, if you want to arrange a discussion, which interaction you'll be using? Yeah, a discussion again can be done in smaller groups and pairs, or it can be done in teacher-led, yeah, like open class activity. Yeah, it's not likely to work in open pairs because we use open pairs to demonstrate an activity, and then we can ask other students, yeah, to also form pairs and work together. Yeah, exactly. Okay, awesome. Now let's talk about some strategies. How can we ensure students' involvement? So by arranging pairs, what else can help? Give me more ideas. Classroom management strategies, what are they? It's not about the things I'm highlighting on this slide. Just let's brainstorm a little bit. Asking questions, exactly. Prompting students, yes, absolutely right. What else? Planning, exactly. Planning, like how to group students, yeah? Like which student is going to be working with another one, yeah? And which one in particular, which pairs will work, for example, yeah? Or maybe grouping weaker students together and stronger students together, differentiating, yeah. Checking, so we need to check understanding of the instructions, very good. Monitoring, observing, fantastic, great idea. So let's have a look at another sample tasks related to classroom strategies. Classroom strategies are highlighted, there are 4 of them, and some problems are also highlighted. So perhaps you can look at strategies first and figure out what might happen and then match them with the options given. Yes, quite often stronger students finish tasks earlier and then they are sitting idle, yeah, and they are left without any challenge and they get bored. Yeah, exactly. It's 1A. Okay, how about number 2? Yeah, students are not equipped with classroom language functions. They don't know how to do it, so they switch into L1. So 2B. Many people are saying 3A, that's right. And how about number 4? Okay, amazing. So yeah, that's what we've got. So you can see I am highlighting the answer keys. Hopefully we're all on the same page. You have the same ideas. So that's what we can do. Okay, I'm just thinking how much time is left, so perhaps we can talk about feedback a little bit. I have 6 statements here. All of them are about feedback. Type in the chat box which ones are true, in your opinion. Yeah, okay, error correction is one of the most important components. Yeah, I agree. Yes, progress, exactly. The achievements should be highlighted too. Okay, 5 is really important, I agree. Any other ideas? 6. Teacher needs to talk a lot. I don't think so. It can be student-centered. Remember, we've talked about turning it into activity. Yeah, not sure about number 6, though. The third one, feedback only relates to the topic of the lesson. So, for example, you've studied the present perfect, but you could hear that the students are making a lot of errors related to articles. Will you just ignore all of them? If you have a lot of problems with the present perfect, probably you'll be focusing on the target language, so I agree to a certain extent. But at the same time, to avoid fossilization, perhaps you can clarify some of the frequent errors too. Yeah, exactly. And the same about topical areas. Of course, if they've talked about, I don't know, art, for example, you won't be highlighting something irrelevant, yeah? But how come they've come up with their ideas, yeah, that are relevant to the topic? So that's kind of awkward. Perhaps the target language, yeah. Okay, awesome, yeah. And it can be done by the students. That's a great idea, thank you, yeah. Exactly. So the point is, Do we sometimes forget that feedback is actually not from us to the students, but students can give feedback, not only to each other, they can self-reflect and evaluate their performance. We can promote those skills. We can also delegate responsibilities, and one student or a couple of students, or maybe all of them, will be responsible for something. So for example, remember the reward chart that I've talked about. So students can be asked to be responsible for one category. So one student was responsible in my lessons, on attendance. They would draw different faces, like asking how are you and things like that, for those who are present. Another student was responsible for checking homework, like if it's done or not, only that, and again they would draw a happy face or tick the box in the register. Another student became responsible for L1 because I had to remind him in particular that he was using too much L1. And eventually he said, Anna, can I be responsible for L1 column? And he would observe, and notice who is using L1. He would come to the board and tick that box or draw an angry face there. And that helped us motivate each other, not to switch into L1, things like that. So who can give feedback? Everyone, right? Not only the teacher. Feedback should be level appropriate, like you mentioned that it should be relevant to the topic of the lesson, target language, sometimes higher level students, they're relatively accurate and you don't know what to give them, how to help them learn at the feedback stage. So probably you need to have something up your sleeve in terms of language, like some synonyms, some other collocations, some more challenging language items, maybe less frequently used, of course, but that's what they need. They need to learn something. How feedback can be given? It can be given in a teacher-led manner. It can be turned into a student-centered activity. It can be done in a written form, so we are talking about modes already, with the focus on accuracy, fluency, their achievements, and so on and so forth. Okay. So feedback is a fantastic area, and of course, unfortunately, we don't have much time to talk about many feedback techniques, but some of the techniques are highlighted here. So let's finish our webinar by looking at these examples. So what's the purpose of the first one? Praising students, highlighting their progress, being specific, what they've actually learned, motivate them, of course, Okay, how about number 2? So it's more about raising the awareness about organizational features of essays. Good. How about number 3? Giving ideas, Focus on accuracy, on pronunciation, on phonology, language-wise, exactly. And putting it in practice right away, because pronunciation is physical. We need to develop our articulators. Number 4. Yes, praising again. There is a lot of that. And finally, number 5. Exactly. It's about improving some learning strategies. It's about training your learners. Self-development, exactly. It's a suggestion, absolutely. Right, so we've talked a lot about different classroom management principles. I've given you quite a lot of examples. You will find some other tasks and activities on the slides. There aren't many left, but some. And just consider your group dynamic. to improve your lessons. Don't forget to nominate students and ensure active participation in your classes. But I'm sure you're all reflective practitioners and you are keen on giving fantastic lessons. So good luck with your teaching practice.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks a lot, dear participants. So unfortunately, that was our last session, and I think Anna will be enjoying lots of positive feedback in the chat box regarding all these wonderful 3 days. Please share your feedback. Say a big thank you to Anna Kashcheeva, our Cambridge English assessment presenter. Thanks a lot. Okay, so on Monday, you will receive a link to this webinar, some TKT preparation materials, and your certificate of participation. Okay, have a lovely weekend and see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for being active today. Yeah, and good luck with your lessons, of course. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.